Hi everybody, my name's Fiona and I'm from Education, Recruitment and Marketing, and we're the hosts of today's Virtual University Roadshow 2021. So we'd just like to welcome you all along. Normally we'd be out and about visiting all of the schools and meeting you all in person, but unfortunately with everything going on with COVID and with still a lot of uncertainties about, we're just not too sure whether or not we're going to be able to visit the schools as normal come September and October. So we decided to put on today's event just basically to cover all eventualities and to give you an opportunity to kind of reach out to different universities and find out essentially what's out there for you. So this presentation will last approximately 30 minutes, okay? So it is going to be quite long, but it's going to give you a great introduction to all things UCAS, CAO, and generally what is needed to apply to university, okay? As you can see from the slide, we have over 25 different universities in attendance today. So there's universities from Republic of Ireland, Scotland, England and Wales. And between them, they will offer thousands and thousands of different courses and programs. So hopefully there should be something for absolutely everybody. Okay, so let's get started. Essentially, the main concept of today is, can university outside of Northern Ireland be right for me? Okay, so we're all very well aware of the two universities we have in Northern Ireland, both Queen's and University of Ulster, both of which are very good universities with good reputations. But there's only the two universities, so we don't have an awful lot of choice in terms of kind of courses and programs on offer. So for some of you who are interested in studying particular programs, they may not be available here in Northern Ireland, okay? So some of you will have to look that wee bit further afield. Also, with just having the two universities here, we don't have enough places for all of our students. So generally 1 in 3 of our students each year will head away to university. So again, today is a really good opportunity to kind of do a wee bit of exploring and find out what's out there for you. Again, with just having the two unis, the entry requirements do tend to be really quite high for our two local universities as well. So hopefully, again, once you start to do a wee bit of research, you'll be pleasantly surprised that the entry requirements tend to be a bit lower, quite substantially lower really, when you look at the universities across the water. Okay, so what we're going to cover today then, we're essentially going to split it into 5 different areas. So choosing the right degree, okay, which is very much down to you guys in terms of obviously what you're interested in. We're then going to talk to you about choosing the right university, and that's essentially what the whole concept is of today. And that's really what we want you to get out of today. We're going to talk to you a wee bit then about applying to university and just try and help you kind of just become familiar with kind of the UCAS process, the CAO process as well. So you're ready to hit the ground running when applications open up in September. And we're also going to talk to you a bit about the kind of the finance side of university as well. Okay, so again, there's a lot of myths and legends bandied about how much more expensive it is if you head away to university, maybe across the water. So again, we're going to kind of just discuss this a wee bit more, and hopefully once we've explained to you exactly the way things work, you'll realize it's not actually as bad as you first thought. Okay, so choosing the right degree then. I said to you before, this is very much down to you and what you're interested in. And obviously it's going to have a bearing in terms of what you're studying at the moment, whether that be for your BTECs or for your A levels or whatever, okay? But essentially we're mentioning 5 areas that we want you to consider. Okay, interesting. You're going to be studying this degree for 3 or 4 years of your life. So it's really important to make sure that you're going to enjoy it, okay? You're going to find it interesting, because unless you enjoy it and you find it interesting, to be honest, you're not going to work hard at it, okay? So it really is important just to do your research and to understand exactly what you're applying for, okay? And that will tip into the kind of the course content side of things. So what we're saying here is, people sometimes, for example, would say to us when we're writing about a careers fairs, they're interested in doing a degree in history. That's fantastic. But a degree in history at Queen's University could be a completely different degree than what you might study at the likes of Manchester Metropolitan University, okay? The course content could be completely different. You could be studying completely different areas. So again, it's important not to just kind of pick a topic or pick an area and just assume it's going to be the same everywhere, because it really isn't going to be, okay? Another area we're saying to consider then would be entry requirements. Now, what we're saying here is just be realistic, okay? With the UCAS application, for example, you only have 5 choices, so it's really, really important not to waste any of those choices. So again, make sure you chat to your tutors, your teachers, and get a good idea as to the type of grades that you know realistically you should be getting come exam time as well. Okay, have you kind of thought a wee bit further down the line? Do you know what kind of career path you want to follow? In which case, that's fantastic, because it shows that you're kind of very organized and you've thought it all through. But again, does that career mean that you have to have a particular degree? Okay, so you basically need to kind of work yourself backwards. Just make sure that you're planning for the right courses and the right levels to allow you to go into that particular career. Okay, and the final area I was saying to think about and consider, is this course competitive? So going to university and getting to university is going to be competitive no matter what. Okay, we've already spoken to you about how, you know, the Northern Irish unis tend to be very competitive just because of the demand on places. But what we're saying to you here is there's going to be courses for the likes of the healthcare courses, for example, teaching, performing arts. These are competitive courses year in, year out. Okay, so again, it's just about understanding that, being aware of that, and just covering all eventualities. So what we would say to you here is just be a wee bit different, you know, or try and get some outside experience that's going to give you a bit of a competitive edge over the other students who are going to be applying for that program. And again, that's why it's really good that we're having this event today as opposed to September, October when we would normally hold it, because it means you've got a few months and you've got the summer to kind of think about things and to gain any experience that you might require in order to kind of give you a bit of a kickstart with your application. Okay, so choosing the right course, okay. We talked to you a wee bit about just kind of understanding exactly what you're planning for. Okay, so what does the course cover? What does it entail? Okay, look very carefully at the core course content and the range of optional studies and modules available. Okay, so just make sure it's going to be the right program for you in terms of kind of the career path you're wanting to go down. Which modules are the most interesting to you and going to be most relevant to you in your career? And again, can you pick and choose those? Okay. You're going to want to see if the course of the university offers any internships, any placements, or study abroad opportunities. So again, you need to have a think about now, even at this early stage, is that going to be important to you? And if so, are the universities you're applying to going to allow you to do those? Okay. Again, how is the course taught? So for example, some of you might be really good at coursework, but you struggle a wee bit when it comes to exams, or it might be the vice versa. Okay. So understand exactly how that course is taught, how that course is treated, and how basically, you know, what way are the results going to be led, and are you going to get the best possible results from that? Okay, how is the course essentially going to be assessed? Okay, choosing the right university, very much what today is all about, and hopefully what we're here to help you do. Okay, as I said at the start of the presentation, you will be amazed at the opportunities once you head outside of NI. Okay, so we've spoken to you about it a few times already, that there's only the two universities really here in Northern Ireland, UU and Queen's. We also have the two university colleges, Stranmillis and St Mary's, which would normally and mainly focus on teaching programs. But once you go outside of NI, you'll see there from the statistics, just, you know, what is out there and what's on offer. So there's 15 universities in Wales, there are 19 universities in Scotland, and there are 324 universities in England. So there is just a wealth of opportunities out there and waiting for you. And because there are so many more universities, there are so many more courses on offer. And you'll see between those different universities, there's 35,000 courses available. So no matter what you're interested in, no matter what you're passionate about, there will be something for absolutely everybody. And I'm a great believer that university can be for everybody. No matter what you're interested in, no matter what your grades are, you know, it's just about finding that right fit for you. Okay, so choosing university. Again, we've listed 5 areas that we want to think about and consider, okay? Location. Where is this university? And this is so important if you are thinking about heading away from home. And we would say to you, just kind of map the journey through, try and make life as easy as possible for yourself. So where's the nearest airport? Where's the nearest seaport? How long is it going to take you to get there? Price it all up, okay? So really just think the journey through. Reputation and facilities are so important, okay? So again, there's so much information online with regards to university league tables and where universities are ranked. Now, my advice to you there would be to take this information with a pinch of salt, because sometimes a university that might be quite far down the league tables could actually be in the top 10 or the top 20 for nursing or for teaching. You know, it might have a particular specialism. So don't just look at the university name, look at the type of course that you're interested in and see how that is ranked and how that is rated as well. Student support. All of the universities nowadays are fantastic in terms of the student support, and that could be from a monetary point of view or just from an emotional point of view as well. So again, it's just thinking about the type of person you are. Do you need any extra help and support perhaps that you maybe get at school, and do you need that to continue into your university life? So again, just reach out to the universities and do your research and find out to make sure that they have that support in place for you. Type and size of the university. What we're saying to you here again is just have a think about the type of person you are. Where do you think you're going to fit in best? So for example, if you're from quite a small town, a small village, maybe the thought of going to the large city centre universities would be quite daunting. So maybe you should start to think about the likes of the campuses, smaller kind of universities. Or similarly, maybe you are from a small place and you've completely outgrown it and you want the bright lights and the nightlife and everything else. Then again, the city centre, the bigger, larger universities may well be the best fit for you. So it really is just thinking about you and where you're going to fit in best, okay? The last thing we're saying to think about and consider then is accommodation. So again, a lot of people might think it's a bit early in the day to be thinking about accommodation, but it's never too early. A lot of the universities away from home will give preference to first year students or students who may be quite far away from home. So again, just look into the accommodation. How far away is it from the university or from the campus that you'll be studying at? But also my advice to you as well would be just to price it all up, just to make sure it's going to be affordable, okay? So again, it's going to be expensive no matter where you go. But again, it's just understanding, you know, that the accommodation is available and that it is, you know, the kind of price range that you would be hoping to pay. So like, I mean, for example, some accommodation could be 80, 90 pounds a week, whereas in another university it could be 140, 150 pounds a week. Okay, so there can be a massive range. So it's really just exploring the options that are out there and available to you. Okay, so applying to university, we want to take you through the whole process now. Okay, if you're applying to university in Northern Ireland, Scotland, England or Wales, the good news is it's all under the one application, which is done through UCAS, and it's an online application, okay? In terms of the applications, there's numerous sections to complete, most of which are very, very straightforward. So like your personal details, additional information, student finance, your choices. As I said to you before, you have 5 choices. Now they don't need to go in order of preference, and they'll go out simultaneously to the 5 universities. So you can put them in any order you want. Your educational background, employment background as well. And they'll also ask you for a referee, and most students would put their teacher or the principal of their school down. But again, have a chat with your careers teacher about that as to who would be the best person to put down in that. So the one area which you see I haven't covered there is personal statement. Now, this is the one area that is going to take a bit of time, okay? And it's not a case of maybe just getting it done in a day. It probably will take you a good couple of weeks to kind of to get it perfected and to get it right, okay? But there's so much information online to help you with that, and I'm going to cover a wee bit of that as well in this presentation. Okay, so again, you'll see it's a register, save registration. So once you've gone on, you put in your email address, your contact details, and a password, okay, and that will allow you to go in and out of the application as and when you want to. So it's not a case of you just sit down and kind of fill it all in one go. You can be doing this over the course of weeks or months or whatever it might be. Okay, so in terms of UCAS then, the undergraduate applications search has really opened there on the 18th of May. For 2022 entries. That's for those of you wanting to go to university in September 22. Okay, so you can go online now and have a wee look around. You can't submit your applications though until the 7th of September. So you still have got a wee bit of time just to kind of get yourself organized and to do your research, okay? And that's when the application's open. And the cost for that is £26.50, okay? And that's the same price once you apply for one or more courses. So again, my advice to you would be, it's only 5 choices. There's not an awful lot of choice, so make the most of the application, okay? And do choose 5 different universities or 5 different courses, okay? In terms of the application deadline then, okay, it's really, really important. For anybody who's thinking about Oxford or Cambridge, anybody who's thinking about applying to medicine, dentistry or veterinary science, you do need to get on the ball that wee bit earlier. And again, it's another good reason for having this event now in June, okay? Because you do have to have your application in by the 15th of October. And this is a very strict deadline, okay? There's no going back on it. So again, this is going to give you a bit of time over the summer to do your research and to kind of get drafting with your personal statement to try and get it perfected for when you get back to school in September, and then you'll probably be working on it with your careers advisors. Okay, so that's 15th of October for those particular courses, those 2 specific universities. For everybody else then, the deadline is the 26th of January. Okay, so you do have a good bit more time, but my advice to you would be apply as soon as you can. So you know, and you've just seen there that applications open up in September, okay? So universities will basically stop taking applications once they fill their course or once they know they have enough applicants. Okay, so the longer you leave it, the less chance you have of getting a place on that program. So certainly my advice would always be to try and apply for in around kind of Halloween time, or certainly kind of November time, and not much later than that, okay? But again, it's important to chat to your careers advisors kind of maybe the next week or 2, or certainly when you get back in September, to find out what their deadlines are, because schools will generally have their own specific deadlines. And again, that's just to make sure that your careers advisors and maybe the principal or the VP or whoever's doing your references have enough time to dedicate enough time to each individual application to make sure they get everything done, okay? So personal statement, as I said to you, the application is really quite simplistic. It's very well laid out. It's very easy to kind of to get your way around. But the one thing that will take a wee bit of time and a wee bit of focus will be your personal statement, okay? And this is your chance to showcase your personality, skills, experience, achievements, and your future ambitions to university and college admissions staff, okay? Now, we have attached actually on our homepage a helpful kind of guide that will, it's a bit of a tick list and will kind of help guide you in terms of kind of drafting your personal statement and getting it right, okay? So personal statement is the only section you have full control over, okay? Where you get a chance to actually market yourself individually. The personal statement has to be the same for all 5 choices that you're making, okay? It's going to go out simultaneously to all 5 universities. So it's important to get it right and to basically to be relevant for all of your 5 choices, okay? It can be a wee bit daunting to kind of get started on it, but essentially once you get started and you start drafting and start writing a few paragraphs, you'll be surprised how quickly you can fill it up, okay? And quite often people find the difficulty is actually in keeping it to the 4,000 character, the 47 maximum lines, okay? So again, it's something that you might want to start working on over the summer, okay? There isn't a spelling or grammar check as part of the system. So again, what the advice would normally be would be to do it on a Word document and then to copy and paste it into the application. But it's really, really important to check and double check, and also to get friends and family to do a wee check on it for you as well, just to make sure everything is sitting pretty much perfect, okay? The types of things then you're going to want to include in your personal statement are going to obviously want to write about the course, okay, and why you're interested and why you're passionate about this particular course, okay. You're going to want to mention about your skills and achievements to date, and that can be both academically or personally or in your kind of personal life as well. Hobbies and interests, again, that is relevant to get a good picture to you as a person, but it's really important to pick out the kind of the skills and the abilities there that would be helpful and useful in that particular course, that particular career that you're applying for. This is where you're going to want to mention any work experience. So again, some courses will demand that you have maybe 5 or 10 days work experience, and sometimes even more. Now, obviously, that's all a wee bit up in the air with everything with COVID as well, because that just hasn't been possible for many people to get that work experience. But again, this is a perfect opportunity. Once I finish this presentation, when you're on the stands and you're chatting to the universities, you know, if the kind of course that you're applying to is maybe like some medicine or dentistry or veterinary science, things like this, teaching, for example, where they would normally look for experience, if you haven't been able to get that experience, this is when you're going to want to chat to the different representatives available today and to find out what can you do to kind of compensate for that, okay? Or how are you going to be able to kind of overcome that as well? Again, as I mentioned to you earlier on, if you already know the kind of career path you want to go down and what you want to do in the future, that's fantastic. Mention that in your personal statement because it shows that you're really focused and driven again, okay? But again, it's just about making sure that you have kind of mapped out the path accordingly. We've listed 2 websites there as well, which are really useful in terms of your personal statement. So the studentroom.co.uk and studential.com, 2 really good useful websites that'll give you lots of hints and tips in terms of kind of writing your personal statement. Okay, so in terms of decisions, then the universities and colleges will make their decision as to whether or not to give you an offer of a place based on your personal statement. I say it's the one thing that makes you individual and makes you stand out from everybody else applying for that program. They will obviously look at your qualifications, so they'll look at your predicted grades, and then obviously when your qualifications, once you've kind of got your exam results through, and they'll also look at the references come from your school as well, just to see, you know, how appropriate you are going to be for a place on that program. Some university courses may require you to do a wee bit more than that. So it might be a case of they may ask you to do an admissions test or have an interview, or perhaps to provide a portfolio or come over for an audition in advance of offering you that place on that program. So again, this is perfectly normal for certain types of programs, okay? And we're going to cover a number of these in a few slides' time. Okay, so in terms of interviews, you could be asked for an interview or audition, or you might be asked to provide examples of your work. So for example, like a portfolio for maybe people who are interested in art-based programs, or an essay. So that might be again for people who are interested in likes of creative writing type programs, okay? So the interviews and auditions, they're not there to basically catch you out. They're there to help course tutors compare applicants before making decisions and deciding who to give an offer to. So again, a lot of you are going to be applying for these courses in these universities, and you're roughly going going to be sitting on the same kind of grades. Okay, so it just gives the university something a wee bit different to see, just to basically kind of find and to make sure that they're getting the right candidates for their programs. Okay, so the types of courses that are going to require an interview, it is going to be the likes of the healthcare programs. Okay, so again, the reason for that being that it's not just about the academic side of things, it's about getting the right personality, the right person into nursing or medicine or whatever it might be. Okay, teaching is another area where you will always be interviewed as well. Okay, there will be the likes of the music, art and design, performing arts. These type of programs generally will require that you have an interview, and obviously at the moment a lot of these are being done online and virtually, so we'll just really need to kind of keep our ear to the ground just over the coming months as well to see how these are going to take place over the coming year. Okay, so in terms of typical interview questions, I'm not going to talk about this for too long because there is an awful lot of information online, but there will always be the typical interview questions. So tell me a wee bit about yourself, okay? Why are you interested in this particular course or to study this degree? Why have you chosen our university? What attracts you to our university? What are your particular strengths and weaknesses? And again, it's important to kind of make these relevant to the types of course and the career that you're applying for. Why should we offer you a place? Okay, so what makes you different from the other applicants that are applying? What do you do in your leisure time? Again, make the things that you mentioned, the things you talk about, make it relevant in terms of kind of the skills and abilities you have that are going to be useful for the career that you're interested in. Okay, so these are the types of things that will come up time and time again. And again, these are good questions kind of to plan and to prepare for, because it just means you're kind of going into the interview a wee bit more calm and knowing that you've rehearsed a few of the questions as well. Okay, so a summary in terms of what you need to do for interview. And we've listed a few areas. Again, they sound so obvious and they look so obvious when you see them written down, but they can be easier said than done on the day. So preparation is key, preparation and research. There's no excuse nowadays for not doing your research because there's so much information available to you online. Okay, so make sure you know all about the university, you know all about the program, and basically show great enthusiasm as to why you want a place on their program. Okay. Personal appearance and first impressions are so important. So things like smiling, eye contact, confidence, okay, also so important. Be yourself. So again, it's really important just to kind of to not waffle off or not kind of talk yourself up too much. It's important to be yourself, but on your best possible day, okay? And again, it's really important to be interested in them and their university and their course as well. And the best way to show that you're passionate and you're interested and you're enthused by them is by asking questions. So always go along with maybe a question or two prepared to ask at the end should you get the opportunity. Okay, so as I said, then you have 5 choices through UCAS. What happens then? It goes out to all universities at the same time, and they will come back to you with an offer. So most people will get what's called a conditional offer, okay? And that means basically that, yes, we are going to give you a place on our program as long as you get the 2 Bs and a C that we require for our program, okay? So that would be the norm. An unconditional offer is basically that you will get a place on our program no matter what, okay? Now, very few of these are given out, so don't be worried if this is not what you get, okay? Because I say, normally these are just given in exceptional circumstances and for particular courses, okay? The vast majority of people will be receiving a conditional offer based on their exam results, okay? Or the other option will be unsuccessful, okay? Once you've got the decisions from all 5 universities, what you then need to do is basically whittle your 5 choices down to 3, okay? You need to pick your firm choice, or your number 1 choice, and your number 2 choice, your insurance choice, which would then be, if you don't get into your first place, what your second choice will be, okay? At that stage, then you must decline all of the other 3 offers, okay? So again, it's really important that once you kind of get your offers through, that again, you sit down, you have a good think about, you know, where you're going to fit in best, which course is going to be right for you in terms of kind of your future career. And again, it's important to kind of do as much research as you can. So again, I would be advising you here to go and visit the universities, to do their open days. And again, a lot of those are being done virtually at the moment. So although it's not the same thing as being there and being physically present, in many ways, it's actually a very, very good chance to kind of an opportunity to visit these universities, because you're not having to travel and you don't have the expense of traveling, for example, as well. And you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So certainly, if you can visit them physically, fantastic. By September, October, and November next year, brilliant. But if you can't, certainly try and go on and do these tours, at least virtually. And a lot of the universities you'll see will be running virtual open days really over the summer and certainly into September and October time as well. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a bit then just with regards to the Republic of Ireland and applying to university down there. Okay, so it is a separate application. It's called the CAO application. So you would apply through www.cao.ie. Okay, now this is for any university and college in the Republic of Ireland. Okay. Applications open up then on the 5th of November, so it's a wee bit later. So again, my advice to you here would be to focus on your UCAS application first, okay? Because it's the one you need to get in that bit earlier, okay? So I would focus on your UCAS application and then I would start to look at your CAO application afterwards, okay? There's absolutely no reason why you can't be doing both applications, and by doing that, you're actually keeping your options open. So again, my advice would be, if you are considering the Republic of Ireland, put in a UCAS application and put in a separate CAO application, and by doing that, you're giving yourself 15 choices of universities and colleges, okay? So you'll see there through the CAO application, you actually can choose 10 different courses in 10 different universities. Now, what is a wee bit different from the UCAS is you do have to put these in order of preference, and that's very important, okay? So from number 1 should be the university and the course that you want to do most, right down to your number 10, okay? So you'll see the CAO application is actually very straightforward and very simplistic. And again, this is another reason why to leave it till after your UCAS one. That won't take you anywhere near the same amount of time. In fact, it could be filled in a couple of hours. Now, I would not recommend you doing that because you're probably not going to do it properly, but essentially that's how simple it is, okay? So you'll see that it's a case of really going on and applying, providing all the information that you would need. So you need to send a copy of your GCSE results after you apply, okay? You put your list of courses in order of preference from 1 to 10. So really quite simplistic. There's no personal statement or anything like that attached with the CAO, and that's the one thing with UCAS that is going to take that wee bit of time. So you'll be delighted to hear it is much simpler and much easier to do. So the deadlines you'll see there on this slide start at the 20th of January, okay? And that's the online discount. That's basically what they call the early closing date, okay? But again, I would say to try and get it in by then, because the longer you leave it, although you can leave it later, the longer you leave it, the more expensive it gets, okay? So again, the normal application deadline would be the 1st of February, but you'll see there it goes up 15 euros to 45 euros, okay? And again, there's a reason why. If you're just not too sure, or you're just taking a wee bit of time to do your research, you can apply for it. So that will be in May 2022 to start university in September 22. You can apply as late as that, but obviously, as you can see, there is going to be a lot more expensive to apply, and it's going to be in around the 60 euros then, okay? So again, my advice would be certainly try and get in by that 1st of February deadline, okay? So financing university, to me, this is a really, really important part of the presentation. And this is something that I would love you to chat to your parents about, because I think if we're all being honest, it's probably the one thing that puts students and parents off universities, maybe outside of NI. But hopefully once everything's been explained, you will see that it's actually a lot more affordable than many people think. Okay, so how much it costs really very much depends on where you're from and where you're going to. Okay, so students from Northern Ireland going to England, it's going to be £9,250 per year, and a level 8 honours degree is going to take you 3 years. Okay, in Scotland then it's going to be £9,250 as well, but to get you your honours degree it's going to be 4 years. Okay. In Wales then it's £9,000 per year, so it's slightly cheaper there, and it's a 3-year degree, the same as it would be in England or in Northern Ireland. And then the Republic of Ireland, finally, it's going to be about €3,000 per year, but like Scotland, it's going to take you 4 years to get your full honours degree there. Okay, so it's important to kind of bear that in mind when you are doing your research and your costs and everything up. Okay, so you're looking at that kind of the figures and the slides and thinking that's an awful lot of money. I don't have that kind of money, and very few people do, to be honest. Okay, but it's not as bad as a lot of people think. Right, that tuition fee loan, whether it be the 9,250 or the €3,000, you never have to pay that up front. Okay, absolutely everybody is entitled to get a student loan to pay that for you. Okay, and again, that you could be from the wealthiest family in the world, everybody's entitled to get that. It is not means tested. Okay, so you don't need to worry about paying that until you've graduated and you've got a full-time job, and I'm going to talk to you a wee bit more about that after. So basically, you go to university, you get your degree, and then you'll worry about it paying it back the year after you've graduated. Okay, so everybody's entitled to get that. Okay, you will also be entitled to get what's called a maintenance loan. Okay, and that can be anywhere between £3,750 per year to £4,840 per year. Okay, so everybody again is entitled to get that, and that's essentially there to help with your living costs. Okay, so help with your accommodation, and other living costs. Now, there's also something which is called the maintenance grant. Now, the grant works a wee bit differently from a loan in the sense that grant is money that is given to you that you don't have to pay back. So anybody who's entitled to get a grant, it is so important to make sure you apply for that and you get that money, because it says you don't have to pay that back, okay? So again, the maximum grant available is just under £3,500, okay? Now, it's only available to students whose household income is below £41,065. Okay, so anybody whose household income is under that will be entitled to get some of that money. Now, if your family income and your household income is under in and around the kind of £19,000, you will be entitled to get that full amount. Anything between the 19,000 and the 41,000, you're not going to get that full £3,500, but you will be entitled to a partial grant of sorts. So it might be £1,000, it might be £1,500, but no matter what it is, it's really important to make sure you apply and to get it, because as I said to you, it's going to give you that wee bit of a helping hand, and that money doesn't need to be paid back. Okay, now, to get more information on kind of the finance side of things, go on to the Student Finance Northern Ireland website, okay, and you'll see the full eligibility criteria. And that's maybe something I'd ask you to kind of to look at with your parents or your guardians, just to kind of see what options are available to you. Okay, so as I said to you there before, the 925 over the €3,000, whatever it's going to be per year for you to go to university, you don't have to have it up front, okay? The student loans company will pay the university for you, and you do not need to think about it or to worry about it until you've got a full-time permanent job, you've graduated, and you won't pay anything back for at least the first year after you've graduated, okay? So you will only start to pay that money back that you've borrowed once you're earning over the threshold of £19,895 a year. Okay, so if you come out of university and you get a job at £17,000 or £18,000, you won't pay a penny back. Okay, you only start to pay back once you start earning over that threshold. Okay, so I think you'll see that that's a really fair way of doing things. Okay, you will only repay 9% on what is earned over the £19,895. So again, it's done on a very, very affordable system. Now, as your salary increases, so too will your payments, but it's going to be a very affordable way of paying things back. So the chances are you might be paying 40, 50, £100 a month back out of your salary each month, but it is actually done on an affordability scale. Okay, so you're never going to be asked to be paying large lump sums or large payments that you can't afford. Okay, the other good news is that after 25 years, all remaining debt is wiped. So if you haven't paid off your student loan, and again, you might see in the next shape beside it, 83% of people will never pay off their loan. So again, it's something that Martin Lewis talks an awful lot about. And again, that's another really good website to go and have a look at. Lots of useful information on there, but it's something he talks about quite often, about how parents and students worry so much about this kind of debt that they're in, but in actual fact the vast majority of us will never actually have to repay it all back anyway, so we're maybe worrying about something that we don't need to. So 83% of people will never pay it back. Okay, so you may have £3,000, £5,000, £7,000 left at the end of your 25 years of paying your money back, and whatever it is, that debt is wiped. Okay, but it's also done, the interest rate is very reasonable, and it's the cheapest loan you will ever get as well. So as I said to you, it's all based on your affordability, and if you don't have a job or you're part-time or you're under that threshold, you won't be asked to pay a penny back. Okay, I'm just going to talk to you very briefly then, just towards the end of the presentation now, just with regards to kind of bursaries. So again, some bursaries have been kind of brought back into play, particularly with regards to the healthcare courses. So again, this is really important for any of you who are thinking in that kind of healthcare area. Okay, so the bursary that's come back into play now is for all nursing, midwifery and many of the allied health students. And what it means is that you will now receive a non-refundable payment of £5,000 per year. Okay, so again, it's like a grant, it's money that's given to you that you will not have to pay back. Okay, so that's going to be really, really helpful for those of you who are doing these programs, and I've got a list of the programs coming up on the next slide. Okay, you will also be entitled to a further £1,000 per year if you plan on working in an area that is suffering from severe shortages. Okay, and again, I'm going to talk to you about those in the next slide as well. So again, yours might pick up anybody who's interested in the healthcare programs, the allied healthcare programs. Go on to this website, www.gov.uk, and have a wee look in terms of kind of what's available for you. Okay, so in terms of the courses, you'll see them listed here. So all the different types of nursing programs are listed, but occupational therapy, physiotherapy, paramedicine, radiography, speech and language therapy, podiatry, chiropody, occupational health, dietetics, and dental hygiene and dental therapy as well are all included, and we'll all get that £5,000 payment. Now, for those who are looking for the extra £1,000, that's the 5 at the bottom there. So mental health nursing, learning disability nursing, radiography, prosthetics and orthotics, orthotics and podiatry, they will also receive that extra £1,000 as well. So again, this is going to be a really good helping hand for you whilst at university. So again, these have just been brought back into play there last year, and fingers crossed, long may they last. Okay, in terms of the NHS healthcare bursary in Wales, okay, it's different from the one in England, but if you are willing to commit to work for the NHS in Wales, and you decide to do a healthcare program at one of the Welsh universities, they will pay your fees for you. Okay, so basically, you know, you need to commit to this in advance. So you'll be going to university for 3 years to do your program, and then you would be committing then to work for the NHS in Wales for 2 further years. And I said to you, they will then cover the cost of your fee. So again, that's something really well worth looking into. Now, if you decide, obviously they're not going to contractually oblige you to do that. If you decide that you are just going to go home, or you're going to go traveling or whatever after you finish your degree, and that you can't commit to those 2 years, then obviously they'll work out a payment plan for you to pay those back. Okay, so but again, really worth thinking about and considering as well. And again, there'll be more information on the government.uk website there on that. So again, like the eligible courses in Wales are your radiography, occupational therapy, nursing, midwifery, radiography, oncology, physiotherapy, dental therapy and hygiene, and then operating department practice. Okay, so they're all covered under that NHS scheme, whereby they will pay your fees for you if you commit to work for them for 2 years after graduation. Okay, so that's in terms of kind of NHS scholarships and bursary. But every single university will have scholarships and bursaries available. Okay, so scholarships and bursary are like grant in the sense that it's money that's given to you that you don't have to pay back. So again, really, really important to do your research, find out what's out there, and see if there's any money that you can apply for. Okay, so you'll see there in the bubble, over £150 million in scholarship is available through UK universities each year. But a lot of people don't know anything about this money, and millions of pounds therefore go unclaimed. Okay, so universities will have scholarships and bursaries for different things. So some of them might have it for academic achievement. Many will have like the sports scholarships, but there will also be plenty of scholarships and money out there for those of you who are maybe just going to struggle financially at university, who are going to find it difficult. Okay, don't let that put you off. I've spoken to you a bit about the kind of finance side and how the fees and everything are covered, but there's thousands of pounds out there as well to help those of you who are going to struggle at university. So again, reach out to the different universities, find out what's out there, find out what's available, and just make sure you apply for this money that's going to kind of help keep the costs down for you as well. And again, this is something we can help you out if you want to come along to our stand and ask us any questions about. We will certainly try our best to help. But you'll see there's lots of different scholarships and bursaries out there, so do go and do your research and find out which universities essentially are holding out the hand of friendship for you. Okay, so some tips then on kind of what you could be doing now over the coming weeks, and certainly over the summer in your spare time. Research. Okay, look at the different universities, go on to UCAS and the course finder, type in the types of things you're interested in and see which universities offer that. Then go on to their websites, find out a wee bit more about them as a university, where they're located, kind of costs of living there, that type of thing as well. Extracurricular activities, building up any kind of work experience that's required, sometimes required for the course and for the program, but sometimes just to give you that wee bit of an edge over the other students who are going to be applying for the course, and to give you something to write about in your personal statement. And then another thing which we touched on a wee bit in the presentation there as well is attend as many virtual events and open days as you possibly can. And lots of universities are putting on kind of like summer schemes and courses on over the summertime as well, just kind of help in terms of kind of personal statement writing, but also kind of hints and tips in terms of kind of finance and getting yourself organized for university. So again, have a look around, see what's out there, and join up and attend as many of these as you possibly can. Okay, so be glad to hear now that's the end of the presentation, but hopefully you find it useful. It's a lot of information, but it's really just to kind of give you a bit of a feel for what's going to be happening now over the next couple of months. But the main thing for today is for you to go back out onto the main platform and to look at the universities that are there. So we've over 25 universities there available for you today, and each of them will have representatives on their stand who are there to answer questions. So it's really important to make the most of the event today, you know, to do a bit of research research now in the kind of next half an hour. So have a look at their stands, find out a bit more about them and their courses, and any questions you have, make sure you pop on the chat or organize a video call and have a chat to them. And again, I know it can be quite daunting, but at the end of the day, these people are here to help, okay? They're all very friendly, they're all very warm, and they're here, they really want to hear from you essentially, okay? They want to help you find out a wee bit more about them and what they have to offer. So please do make the most of this opportunity. As I said to you, my name is Fiona and I'm at the Education Recruitment and Marketing stand along with other members of my team. So if you have any technical queries or any general inquiries, or you want us to kind of point you in the right direction for universities, particular courses, anything like that, please feel free to give us a wee shout on our stand. I hope you really enjoy the event and I hopefully speak to you soon. Thanks now.